Hello, beautiful people. My name is Amanda. I'm a feminine arts teacher, and today I want to share with you what the rose lineage is. So many people are talking about the sisterhood of the rose and the rose lineage, and it's a little bit hard to discern what is true and what is factual, what is myth, what is channeling. So today I'm going to share with you a very brief description of what the rose lineage is. So, the rose lineage is like a myth, right? It is not written in gospel. We have our very first gospel that was written a few hundred years after the crucifixion of Christ. We're talking very old lineage. We're talking a lineage that begins off planet. So the rose lineage is so old, and we have seen it kind of transform throughout the ages, and it's almost like a stream of feminine energy. So it begins from the planet Venus, which is a planet of love, beauty, fertility, right? Then from there, we see Venus really connected to the actual rose, right? We've got the rose lineage. So Venus is connected to the rose, and I'm going to tell you how. Every 8 years, Venus travels around the earth and does this beautiful sacred geometry, which is the pattern of a five-petaled rose. Now, that's where we get the connection to the rose, right? From Venus. Then the embodiment of Venus becomes Inanna, which is the ancient Sumerian goddess. And Inanna is connected to the divine feminine. She is the goddess of the underworld representing death, and the goddess of the upper world representing birth. So she holds both birth and death. Then from there, we see this transform into ancient Greek mythology and Roman mythology, Aphrodite and Venus. And when Aphrodite is being birthed from the shell in the oceans, she has these beautiful roses that are spraying all over her. So she has a deep connection to the rose. So we see it in ancient Greek mythology and also in ancient Roman mythology. Then we see it in the Egyptian mythology with Isis, and the most recent depiction of the divine feminine with her rose is Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene. Now, with Mother Mary, you have probably seen Mother Mary in many different forms of artwork all over Europe, and she's always with her rose. Mother Mary also goes by many different names. Rosa Mystica is one. And in a lot of ancient artwork, from modern Renaissance artwork and even predating that, we see the rose throughout medieval Europe. We see the carvings of the rose in many different churches, but Mother Mary is the newest embodiment of the rose. So you can almost think of the rose lineage kind of like a red thread that keeps getting weaved throughout the ages. And it's almost like decoding, almost like the Da Vinci Code when we see the rose. It is rose wisdom, the divine feminine, that had to be hidden in order to survive, because it was around during war and patriarchal times when the church had taken over and the divine feminine had to be protected. So we do see the rose symbols throughout our history and throughout archaeology and throughout our architecture. And so the divine feminine rose lineage is a lineage of birth and death. So women carry both. We have a womb. And so the rose itself looks like a yoni. And there is a connection to the yoni and the womb work with these beautiful deities like for example, Mary Magdalene, you will see her often in artwork holding a skull. And a lot of people think that this is her connection as a death doula, as she was able to hold Yeshua in his death and be there for the resurrection. And we see this with Isis as well, as she helps with the death rites with Osiris and helping him go through the underworld and to be rebirthed. So we see this death and rebirth womb magic connected to the rose. And so the rose lineage is of your DNA, your blood, your bones. And especially if you are of Celtic descent, there is a beautiful other connection to the rose lineage, which is in on the Celtic regions of Britain. And we have a beautiful meridian point that starts in Spain and France, and then it goes to Glastonbury, which is the heart chakra of the earth. And then from there, that meridian line goes up to Roslin Chapel in Scotland, the Rose Line. And a lot of old mystics and sages, druids, and Celtic indigenous people know about this line. And it had to be hidden in order to survive. So there are many people waking up to this frequency, the rose lineage, and men and women. It's not just women. A lot of men are starting to remember their connection to the Knights Templars and the Cathars, and understanding that the divine feminine is such a crucial part of our evolution as a human race, as we're going through this huge mass awakening on the planet right now. And in order for us to birth new life, we need to go into the womb, into our waters, and connect back to our rose lineage, which is the divine feminine. And I just want to touch on Mary Magdalene as a priestess of the rose. A lot of people think that she was just an apostle, but she was actually a priestess of the rose lineage. She carried the birth and death rites, and she was a doula of transitions. She ended up taking her teachings to the south of France, and some people, I truly believe, that she ended up taking her teachings from there to Glastonbury and through other areas around the British Isles. And there are lots of stories and myth, but again, this rose lineage, it's not written down. And a lot of people try to fill in the gaps. And I am simply just sharing what I know through looking at artwork, looking at history, and just being really curious about this frequency that I'm feeling within my blood and bones. And I know that there are a lot of people waking up to the rose medicine. So I hope that that has helped give you a little bit of clarity. If you would like to know more about the rose lineage, I work with the Celtic rose lineage, and my work is devoted to the divine feminine and to help you really balance your inner masculine and feminine energies. I help you transition from one rite of passage to another. And I also teach womb healing certification programs. So if you're wanting to learn more, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll pop my website in the notes below. All right, many blessings. Mwah.